Good morning. This is Wayne from Smith Farm Shenanigans. Um, got something a little different for you. I wanted to talk about some events that may happen, that could happen, and how you should be prepared for them. Um, in recent years, the talk of our vulnerability of our power grid system in America has been greatly debated on how easy an attack would take out electricity for much of the eastern seaboard. I could see that happening, with terrorists and the way they behave today and how the cells are organized, or even one of the major players. Or it could be some kind of disease. Let's say some kind of disease struck the world, and you left trying to find out how to survive with you and your family. So this is the basic guidelines. I haven't researched these. This is what I would do. I do have a degree in force technology, and I got two other degrees. And my life experiences have taught me most of this. And not only that, my elders. I have people I had a great grandmother that was born before 1900, and they basically lived like this every day. So what are they? First of all, you will have to, if you live in a city or you live in a place where there's tens or hundreds of thousands of people or even millions of people in your city, the first thing you're going to need to do, get your family together, minute zero. In other words, as soon as something happens, you got to get out. You got to leave that city, get away from that city at all costs. And while you're leaving, what you want to do along the way, you can forget driving. Roads are going to be packed. There probably will be no way to get out with a vehicle unless you do leave early. If you leave real early, you may be able to get a vehicle through. So I would try that. I'd try getting a vehicle. I'd leave the city. If you can't leave by car, leave by foot or bicycle or even a motorcycle, moped, something small like that. If you have those or have access to those. If not, leave on foot. It's okay. But when you do leave, whatever route, whatever mode of transportation you decide to leave on, you will want to not take the major highways. You want to stay on the back roads, stay away from people. And here's why. In a situation where let's say you have your wife, and you have two small kids, age 7 and 5. Okay? In a situation where you see, because the rule of 3 applies, first of all. You can go 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without water. That's it, 3 days. And then they say 3 weeks without food. So that's the rule of 3. So you're going to need water. And it's been 4 or 5 days. You look around, your family is just collapsing because of water, needed for water, right? What would you do for a bottle of water? Most people would do whatever it took to save their children, right? Well, you got to remember that everybody else is going to be thinking the same thing that you are. So if you have a bottle of water, it will very well become your death sentence if you're not very careful. Someone would kill you and your family over a bottle of water in a situation like that. That's why I say avoid the roads, avoid other people. Get out of the city, find yourself, you and your family. At that point, land rights, ownership of land is going to come secondary to your survival. So what do I mean by that? Find you a stretch of land somewhere where you and your family can go hide out and be secure. Now, what else do you need? I would suggest owning some type of firearm, preferably something you can use for defense and for hunting. So you don't want it to be loud. You want it to be effective, but you want it to be loud. So one of the best firearms I personally own is the Ruger Takedown 22. It carries in a backpack, and you put the barrel on it, and it makes a rifle. You can take it apart and carry it in a little backpack. Ammo for it's cheap. Ammo for it is readily available. You'll find it everywhere. If you're scavenging, you'll find 22 ammo about everywhere. It's great for hunting. You can hunt most game with it. Is it good for self-defense? Well, it depends. If your assailant or someone who's attacking your family does not have a firearm at all, then yes, the 22 rifle will definitely defend you. If your assailant has an AR-15, then the 22 is just underpowered for that role. I mean, I'm not going to say you couldn't beat someone with an AR-15. I think I could, but you'd have to use some pretty good tactics to beat someone with AR-15 with a 22. So, AR-22 rifle, takedown preferably, because it's easy to pack. No one will spot it. One of the first things to get you killed also is someone seeing a rifle hand on your back, right? Why? Because they want that rifle. So you don't want anybody to see your weapons you're carrying. So you want to conceal them. And the Ruger Takedown 22 can be, you take it out of its original backpack. It comes with a backpack when you buy those, but put it in a normal backpack so people won't think nothing. They won't see it, right? Then after you have that gun, if you have the chance or the money, and if you can, you would definitely want a designated self-defense weapon. Now, there's several in the market. There's all kinds. I would suggest it depends on what you're going to do. And this could be very controversial and debatable. But, for me personally, I own a plethora of guns. I have a gun for every situation. But I also live in the woods on a farm. So they make sense for me to own. Now, what would you do? So you would need to have a self-defense weapon that you're comfortable with. And when I say that, I mean a gun that you've got hours using. You don't want to buy a pistol, stick it in a drawer, and never learn how to use that thing. That's one of the biggest things is gun safety, gun training is of paramount importance. Not just for a catastrophic world, but also for everyday life. If you own a firearm and you haven't used that firearm and you haven't been trained in a safe use of that firearm, don't own it. I'm all for owning firearms, but if you don't take the time to train with it, if you don't take the time to become familiar with it, don't own it. So in a situation in a world where everything's falling apart and you need a self-defense weapon, get yourself a defense weapon. But before that ever happens, you'll want to have that gun for a while just in case something happens, right? And you'll want to have hours logged behind the trigger of that weapon. You want to be able to use that weapon in any scenario. You have to train. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to train some. The 22 rifles for hunting, if you can shoot a 22 rifle, then you're fine. You should train on it as well, obviously. I believe in that 100%. And don't believe all the movies you watch, about using a crossbow. A crossbow is so slow, you'll get one shot, and then you're in trouble. Is it good for hunting? Yeah, it is. It's very quiet. So if you have access to a crossbow, remember, they're big, they're bulky, they're cumbersome, and they're very visible. People are going to see them. My personal gun of choice right now in a catastrophic world for my defense and my family's defense is going to be between two weapons. One is I have a Strigbog. It's a little compact gun. It's a 9mm. It shoots a 9mm round. I've got the sight set for 100 yards. So anything within 100 yards, I can put rounds down range pretty quickly with that little gun. It has 30 round magazines. It comes in a little case. You can fold it up. and put it on your coat. Nobody never know you had it. That's how small it is. That's a great defense weapon, especially for urban areas. Now, when you get to your forested area and you've got your family, you're setting up a camp, and you want to be there for a while, then you'll want to look at trying to acquire a little bit better weapon from a defense standpoint. In other words, a gun that you can dig in with and make it very hard for an enemy to get you out. AR-15 is obviously a good one. I have that gun. AK-47, another great weapon. And remember, these guns are for digging in and making the enemy come get you. They're not tactical in a sense that they're not maneuverable. In other words, when you're running through the forest, jumping and diving behind trees, that weapon is going to be a little bit less maneuverable than, say, the Strigbog or a small compact 9mm I was telling you about. One of those weapons. A pistol is another great addition. Always carry a pistol on your side if you can in a world like that. Again, keep it concealed. These people that walk around with these weapons hanging on their sides, everybody sees them. The first time something goes down, those are going to be the people that are targeted because people want those weapons. So keep them concealed. Those are some of the choices I'll give you for weapons, and you will definitely want to acquire some weapons, okay? And then number 3, once you get your weapons, once you get to your site, the first thing that you're going to want to know how to do is, how do I acquire water? Where do I get water at? Well, with the world the way it is now, you can't trust drinking out of any stream. Could you do it if you were completely thirsting to death and you were 4 days in with no water and you had to drink water out of a stream? Then you're going to have to do it. You're going to get sick probably. So what do I recommend? Carry water with you? Absolutely not. Too heavy, again, too bulky, and again, visible. People are going to see it and they're going to want it. The military has used a thing called a life straw, and I'll link this stuff. I'll put all the pictures up and link for all this stuff I'm telling you about. The life straw. It's a little device. Not much. It's not very big at all. You'll see it on the screen there, and it's a little bit, about the size of a small Roman candle. That's about how big it is. It's very small. You simply stick that thing in any body of water, and you draw through it like a straw, right? And it will filter that water out through that straw. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to boil it. You don't have to do anything. Military's used it for several years now. It's a great product. Make sure you get the name brand. Don't get those Chinese knockoffs. You never know what you're getting. Even the name brand life straw is only like $20-some now. You will want to get one for every member of the family. And each one of those will last you, a normal water consumption will last each one of your individuals roughly 3 years, 3 to 5 years. That's a long time. Again, that's if each member of the family has one. If you got 4 members in your family and you only have one life straw, then that time's going to be greatly decreased. So get a life straw for each one of your family, and that your water problem's solved. All you got to do is go find some water and drink out of it. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to collect it. You can collect it, put it in a big something when you get your camp set up, and collect rainwater, whatever you want to do. Use your life straw to filter it. That's what it's for. Now, next is your shelter and your camp. Like everything else, you want your camp and your shelter to be almost invisible to the world. You don't want anybody seeing that. So pick a spot that's not visible from any roads or any paths. A lot of people will take the paths that goes through the edges of the forest and that kind of thing. So you want to be off those beaten paths as well. Don't have your camp where people normally travel, right? You want to keep it away from everybody. You don't want to know about, don't take a big bright blue tarp and set it up. You put a big blue tarp setting up, people want to see it. Especially in the fall and winter of the year when there's no leaves on the trees, you can see it for miles. Don't do that. I would suggest find some natural cover to get a wooden structure built. And when you build the wooden structure from fallen logs, whatever, you want to build it in a manner that looks natural. Don't make it square. Don't make it round. Those are, when you see those with the naked eye, the human eye sees that, the brain perceives that's a man-made structure. Why? Because of its shape. The square, the round, rectangle, all that stuff is not natural in nature. So you want to make it, make it funky shape. Make it blend in with the forest around you. If you have a cave or a cliff, that's even better. Stay under that, okay? So build your shelter like that. Now, if it's winter months, obviously you're going to need to stay warm, all right? You're also going to need a fire to cook with, so you're going to need a fire. And you may be saying, well, how do I conceal a fire? Don't burn a fire at night. That's rule number 1. A fire at night can be seen from so far away. People are going to come. They're going to see it. So do not build a fire that's visible at night. Don't build it. If you're in a cave and you got the front wall sealed up and you can put a door up where there is no light escaping, or even a wooden structure. If no light can escape that, then you can have a fire at night, right? You might say, well, how do I stay warm? Build your fire daytime, and you heat. You make each one of your family, you make you a bed. You dig it into the earth about 7 or 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches would be even better. And once you get those little dugouts built for each person's bed, you will line the bottom of that with flat stones. And so what you want to do is take those stones each day, and you'll lay them around your campfire. Warm those up, good and warm, keep them warm. And when you get ready to go to bed, you take those stones. Obviously, you're going to have gloves. You're going to take those stones, you're going to line it back on your bed, and you're going to put your bed covers on it and lay down it. Those stones will keep you warm for hours. Okay? Now, in the meantime, you stay warm now. You know how to stay warm. You're not building fires at night. And you can be getting your structure built to where you can conceal a fire at night. Okay? So, now it brings up the question of food. Well, that's what the 22 Ruger is for. We're gonna hunt squirrel, and I'm sorry, you're gonna have to, if you have the thought of eating squirrel and rabbits and things like that, if that disgusts you, you're gonna have to get over that. In a world where everybody's looking for food and everybody's looking for water, the biggest mistake you're gonna make is when you and one of your buddies, or you and by yourself, or just whatever, you grab your defense weapon and you're going into town to get supplies. You see it on all the movies and all the series about that. Right, make a supply run. That is the worst thing you can do. Why? And even one thing movies get right is every time they do that, they run into opposition, and that's exactly what will happen. You'll run into opposition of people looking for food just like you are. What's going to happen is you're going to get in a gun battle, especially if you're carrying food, right? Or if there's a store there that's got food, there may be 4 or 5 groups there trying to get it. There's going to be a fight. Don't do that. Hunt your food. You're going to have to get over that. You're going to have to eat Mother Nature's supply of food. In the United States, every state has an abundance. I mean, an abundance of squirrel. Squirrels are very good to eat. I've eaten them before, and they're very good to eat. Also, most states have an abundance of rabbits, another great source of protein. And also, many states has an abundance of ducks, right? Now, also fishing. Fishing can be a great asset. And you can make a fishing pole very easily, or that's one of the things you can grab on your way out, or if you already have one, take it with you, preferably when it collapses. You don't want anything bulky when you're leaving. You want to make sure everything is compact. Now, we've got the food covered. So you may be saying, okay, what about the people who are on medications? That's a big one. A lot of our population today are on medications, and most of them, they're very, very much needed. They're pretty much life or death situation medications. Well, unfortunately, in that scenario, if everything collapses, the manufacturer of medicines is going to stop, right? So how you can mitigate that is that find Mother Nature's alternative to the medicines that you take, if possible. A lot of medicines have not as good usually alternatives in nature, but a lot of them, have an acceptable alternative. Just say you got heart disease and you're on a bunch of heart medicines. Well, the way you're going to combat that is you're going to be doing something that's going to greatly combat that, and that is staying active, working to survive, and you're not eating a lot of man-made processed foods. That's a big plus right there, and you may not even need no more medicine after that, right? But there is medicine, there is stuff you can eat. Fiber's a good one. So that brings up a question: what do I do if I want vegetables? Now that's a good question. Are you going to be able to carry a bunch of canned vegetables with you? You may carry 2 or 3 cans, with you, but it's not going to be feasible for you to carry a long-term supply of canned food. So those are one of the things that people want to scavenge for. I would recommend not doing that. If you can at all possible, once you get to your homestead or wherever you're going to survive, you want to try to get some seeds ahead of time. Have them ready. I always say, have you a grab bag. Some people call it a go bag, whatever, and they put weapons in it, mostly weapons and knives and that kind of thing. But you also want common sense stuff, seeds. You can take 20 packs of seeds, take up no room at all. And once spring comes around, throw those in the ground wherever you are and nurture them, and you'll have some vegetables. In the meantime, you find out what state you're in, buy a handbook on edible plants. That's what I'm getting at. Edible plants are a thing in every state, believe it or not. Every state has plants that are edible. Many of them very good for you. There's wild alternatives to most fruit, right? And so all those things can be gathered in the forest. Find out what you can eat in your state, what it looks like. Buy a small handbook, throw it in your backpack. Those are readily available anywhere. I'll link one for my state if you want me to. And so that's got everything covered. Your food, your vegetables, your water, your camp, defense. And then the last thing I would say is to be smart. Before you do anything, one of the worst things people do in a situation like that is they're going to panic. Maybe your wife and your kids aren't used to living like that, and it's going to take a toll on them. I promise you it will. And then when they're starting to get stressed and they're starting to panic, then that's going to make you stressed, make you panic, and then you're going to start making mistakes, right? Mistakes is what's going to be the difference between those who survive and those who don't survive. You can't make mistakes in that kind of world. You have to be calm-headed. Every decision has to be pre-planned and thought out. Every decision. And if you have to go and leave your camp, if you 100% life or death situation, you have to go, then be careful how you go. Don't take the main roads. Don't take the main paths. When you get to where you need to be, lay in a bush. Lay somewhere and scout that entire place out for hours. Not for 5 minutes, for a couple hours. Make sure, listen, do you hear any gunshots? Do you hear any kind of motor vehicles running? Do you hear any unnatural sounds? When I say unnatural, in other words, man-made sounds. Listen, look, watch. Then, under the cover of dusk, go and get your stuff. Not in the early morning hours, because you don't want to get daylight on you. But at dusk, when you have a little bit of visibility, at the worst case scenario, you get stuck, the dark will come, and that's going to help cover you and conceal you. Don't use a flashlight at night. No matter if you are going for supplies or whatever you're doing, do not use a flashlight at night, out in the open. That's going to get you in trouble. So that would get you ahead. So you may say, well, how do I keep my family from panicking? How do I keep them from getting bored? Every evening, when you sit down for the day, all your work's done, you've hunted, you've chopped wood, you've bettered your living situation, everything is finished, gather your family together and just have family time, talk, make up little games. That's quiet games, not loud, right? And so you're gonna want to keep the noise level down as much as possible, but play little games with them, and spend time with them till everybody gets tired, and then go to bed. And try your best to do those kind of things. Will help with the panic and the boredom and that kind of stuff, right? Now the last thing is, you may be asking me, how do I do this long term? You do it long term just like you did the very first day. You do one day at a time. You get up, you do what needs to be done. If you need to hunt, you need to fish, you need to gather supplies from the forest, herbs, whatever. Do those things during those times when you can see and there's no danger. And if you live in an area that has dangerous wild animals, let's say bears, make sure you don't put your camp up where bears frequent a lot, right? Because that's dangerous. Bears can be very unpredictable, and so can any other wild animal. So if you live in areas, moose, for instance, they can be very, very unpredictable. Again, try to stay away from areas where they visit. If you set your camp up under a cliff or something like that, most bears, you know, if it's like a ledge type cliff, they won't fool with it. But if it's like a den type cliff, they will come there. See the difference in the two cliffs? Some caves are kind of burrowed into the ground, and you kind of have to kneel down and crawl back in them. That's a good place for a bear to hibernate. Don't use that cave. Use a cave on a cliff that doesn't go way back in, just kind of like an overhang type situation. Use that. So anyway, that's some ideas and some things that will help you survive. The main thing I tell you is be smart. Stay away from other people, especially if you don't know them. Even your neighbors are a danger to you and your family. They will try to take what you have if it comes to saving their family or yours. They're going to do it. And assume that everybody wants what you have. I mean, these are some hypothetical things. You never know when something may happen, and we may have to last for weeks without food or water. Those are things I would suggest you doing. And this has been a fun talk. And if you guys would like to see more of this kind of information, let me know, and I would try my best to do that for you. Or if you have any other things you'd like to add to this list, leave them in the comments. We'll talk about it. I hope you have a good day, and God bless you.